Hello and welcome to Jackson and June Events YouTube channel. This is my second vlog, so still learning, bear with me. But today I want to talk to you guys about one of the wedding to-dos, tasks, aspects that sometimes I feel gets the least amount of attention when wedding planning, and that is cocktail hour. I feel like some couples may shy away or even feel indifferent about cocktail hour just because it is kind of the time in between your ceremony and reception when honestly the couple is not really, they're not there, they're not involved in it. So a lot of people feel like, oh my gosh, I don't even want a cocktail hour because they feel like their guests may be standing around twiddling. Sorry, that was my cat. She just jumped off the table. Anyway, they may feel like their guests will be twiddling their thumbs, not knowing what to do, awkward silence. You know, they may feel like their guests are starving and wanting to eat right away. And I totally get it. Those are like really, I understand those feelings. But in reality, cocktail hour is so important to your wedding. It is so important for the flow. It's so important for your vendors. It's really important for you to have a breath and to get your pictures done and all of that. So today I want to first walk you through 5 reasons why cocktail hour is essential to your wedding. And then after that, I want to walk you through 5 tips on how to make your cocktail hour super fun and one for the books so you don't have any sort of worry that your guests aren't having fun, that they're twiddling their thumbs and being awkward. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so the first reason why cocktail hour is super important is pictures. And this is especially important if you do not do a first look and you have to do all of your formal pictures after your ceremony. So a lot of people don't realize that formal pictures take a long time. It takes a long time to corral people together. It takes a long time to figure out which pictures are being taken, that need to be taken. It's just a lot, especially if you have a big, loud family like most people do. So you really need that time. Your photographer needs that time so they don't feel rushed because you really, it might seem annoying at the time, but you're gonna want these pictures of your family and your wedding party for years to come. So you need that time. Most photographers will ask for at least that hour to get all of this done, especially if you don't do a first look with your fiance or new husband, wife, whatever. So that is the first reason why cocktail hour is important. The second reason cocktail hour is so important is for vendors, especially if you're doing any sort of location flip, room flip, anything like that. Even small decor changes take a little bit of time to work through and make sure everything's done right and make sure your guests are out of the way and you don't want your vendors to have to weave in and out of your guests. That's uncomfortable for both the vendors and the guests. So it's very important for your vendors to have time to set up and then for your guests to be in a separate spot. So for an example, a few weddings ago, we didn't have to do a full room flip, but we had to move the ceremony chairs from a ceremony location up to the reception area. It was in the same venue, but it was across the way. And it wasn't a very hard task, but we really needed the space. We needed the guests to not be in the room because we had the tables already set up, but then we had to put the chairs down. So we needed that space. We didn't need anybody in the way because it's also a liability. You don't want to be, hauling big furniture, chairs, whatever, through a sea of guests because you might hit them. Someone may get hurt. So you really need that time to have everybody separated and time for your guests, your vendors to set up and get everything ready for the reception. Number 3, time for your guests to mingle. So usually right before a ceremony, the guests get there, they sit down, and then boom, the ceremony starts. So, your brother's, mother's, cousin's, best friend's sister may not have seen one of your other guests in 10 years, and they didn't really have time to catch up before your ceremony. So instead of going straight from your ceremony into dinner and your first dances and things where they need to be paying attention, it gives them a little bit of time to catch up and mingle and, be loud, laugh, whatever, where they're not interrupting anything. So this is like their free hour to be loud and talk and catch up, so that while you're trying to do your first dance or your toasts are going on, they're not doing that then. Number four, it bookends your reception. So for the flow of your event, you really want things to kind of feel, you want them to flow together, but you also you don't want people walking around going, okay, what are we doing now? Is this starting? Is it not? You want it to be very known, okay, the ceremony's over, we're going to get some snacks, then we're going to sit down and the bridal party is going to be introduced and we're going to do first dances and then dinner. So it really gives a good bookend to where your guests know what's going on. And usually the DJ or the band will announce those things so they know exactly what they're supposed to be doing. It avoids a lot of awkward, aimless walking around, what the heck are we doing? Are we eating? Are we not? I don't know. This way, if you have that cocktail hour, your DJ will announce, your officiant will announce after the ceremony, everybody please head up to the cocktail hour area, have some snacks, have a few drinks, and then when cocktail hour is over, your DJ or your band will announce, please everyone make their way into the reception area and find your seats for the introductions. So it's there's no question about what's going on. Number 5, it adds more structure and allows the wedding party to eat first. So that kind of goes along with what I was saying about, making sure there's a good flow and your guests know what's going on. It helps to add a little bit of structure, and then it allows for there to be a good break to where your guests are sitting down and your DJ can say, or band, after first dances and all of that fun stuff and introductions, your DJ or band can say, okay, now it's time to eat. If you're having someone bless the food or do a welcome speech, that's when that would go in. And then they can say, immediate family and wedding party, please go first. So, especially if you're having a buffet, that way it's very known, these special people get to go first, and you're not having your neighbor's cousin's aunt going first in the buffet line before your grandma. So it just adds a little bit of structure there. Other reasons why cocktail hour is important, it gives you a breath. You are going to be going all day long with hardly any time to breathe, hardly any time to go to the bathroom. It's just going to be going. So during cocktail hour, while maybe your husband is doing pictures with his family, you can go use the bathroom or sit down, have a beer. It gives you a little bit of time to breathe because after cocktail hour, things are going to start picking up again. You're going to be pulled to the dance floor for your first dances. Then you got to eat. Then you got to do toasts. Then you got to do your cake. Then it's bouquet toss, garter toss, all of these things. So cocktail hour really gives you a time to sit down and have a breath and go to the bathroom. Make sure you go to the bathroom. So now that we went through why you should have a cocktail hour, here are a few little things that you can do to make cocktail hour really fun and make sure you're not worried about your guests, like I said, being awkward. So the first thing you can do is add an activity. This is something that's really trending right now, and it's so fun. I love it. So instead of doing a traditional guest book, you can do some sort of activity like a Polaroid. You can get a Polaroid camera, have guests take pictures and write you notes on the pictures, and then put them in a little box. That is so fun for your guests and also a really cool keepsake for you. So you can set that up on a little table at your cocktail hour. Or I've seen people do puzzles. So you buy a puzzle with maybe your initials on it, the wedding date, and then your guests find the pieces, write their names, and stick it in the puzzle. So any sort of interactive activities like that, photo booth, games, yard games, I've seen cornhole, all kinds of stuff. Put those in your cocktail hour and your guests will be fine. Number 2, have a specialty drink. This is something so cute and people love it. If you and your husband or wife love Moscow Mules or Bloody Marys or something like that, incorporate them into cocktail hour. Make a cute little sign that says like the bride's drink, Moscow Mule. or groom's drink, old fashioned, whatever it is. That adds a little bit of like, ooh, we get the specialty cocktails at cocktail hour. So that adds a little bit of fun as well. Number 3, appetizers. You need appetizers. There are going to be so many people who think, oh, we're going to so-and-so's wedding, we're going to eat. Yes, you are going to eat, but you have to do all of these fun things first. So guests probably won't get to eat until a little bit later. So it's really nice to have a few finger foods, appetizers. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. You could just do some veggie trays or, pigs in a blanket, whatever. Most caterers have an appetizer menu, so have some appetizers so your guests can snack while they have their specialty cocktails, and they'll be happy as can be. Number 4, pick a playlist. So during cocktail hour, if you want to set the mood, absolutely make a playlist. Ask your DJ to play a certain set of songs, and it'll really, lighten the mood or put a party spin on things. It really kind of personalizes your cocktail hour and makes it enjoyable for your guests. Number 5, make it intentional and pick a practical location. So it's all about mindset. If you go into this thinking, cocktail hours are stupid, my guests are going to be bored, blah, 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 they're just going to be standing around the parking lot, it's not going to be good. So if you make it intentional and say, this is the time for my guests to have fun, to do an activity, to mingle, and for us to get our gorgeous pictures done and to breathe, then you're going to feel a lot better about it. And then lastly, pick a practical place. Choose somewhere where it's out of the way of the vendors if they're having to do a room flip or set up any sort of decor. Make it out of the way. Make it a good space so they don't feel cramped. Make it a good space to where they can get to the bar, get to the appetizers, and any activity that you're doing. And then make it easily accessible to where they're eating dinner. So somewhere where they can flow right on in and have a seat. So those are my 5 tips on how to make your cocktail hour fun. If you have any questions, let me know. And if you have any other ideas about how to make cocktail hour fun, please let me know, because people are so creative and I love hearing all the fun ideas. So I will catch you next week and see you soon.